All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about something that is, frankly, a huge and often ignored risk for any professional, even those at the very top of their game. It's a scenario we all hope never happens, but you know what? Being prepared for it is what real career security looks like.
I mean, that's a heck of a question, isn't it? And notice who we're talking about here. The top doctor, lawyer, or nurse. Not rookies. We're talking about seasoned experts. The reality is, even when you've reached the peak, the very ground beneath your professional life can shift. So the real question becomes, what do you do then? And think about it. You've poured years, maybe decades into this. The late nights, the constant learning, the sacrifices. It's more than just a job. It becomes a part of who you are. So the idea of losing that license, it can feel totally impossible, like something that only happens to other people. But here's the tough truth. Reality doesn't really care about our plans or our hard work when things like new regulations or big industry changes come along. Okay, so to stop this from being just some scary, abstract idea, let's make it real. Let's dig into a specific story from our source material. Let's talk about a professional we'll call Dr. X. Now, this is the part that should really get your attention. Why did he lose his license? Not because of incompetence, not because of some terrible mistake, but because of policy changes. Something completely and totally out of his control. And what did he do? He didn't spiral, he didn't panic, he pivoted. That one choice made all the difference. And this slide just shows it so perfectly. Before, his whole identity was wrapped up in one title, medical doctor. A very prestigious title for sure, but also a single point of failure. But look at what happened after the pivot. He wasn't just one thing anymore. He became a consultant, an educator, and an author. He didn't just find a new job, he fundamentally reinvented how he used his expertise. And here's the best part. His story isn't a tragedy, it's a success story. Today, he's impacting thousands of people in new ways, all of it perfectly legal and profitable. It's the ultimate proof that losing a license doesn't have to be the end of your career. In fact, it can be the beginning of a whole new chapter. So Dr. X's story is powerful. But what's the big lesson here? What can we all learn from his experience? Well, it all comes down to a really powerful idea about where your true professional value is actually located. And here it is. The key term is transferable value. This is the absolute bedrock of a career that can withstand anything. See, your title, your license, those are just containers. They're like the label on a bottle. Your transferable value is what's inside the bottle, your knowledge, your problem-solving skills, your wisdom. And that stuff, it doesn't just vanish when the label gets peeled off. Okay, so that sounds great, right? But how do you actually figure out what your transferable value is? And how do you do it before a crisis hits? Well, luckily, our source material lays out a really clear 3-step plan to future-proof your career. First, you have to audit your skills. And I mean really audit them. Go beyond your job description. Are you an amazing communicator? A brilliant strategist? A calming presence in a crisis? Write those things down. Second, start exploring. How else could you package that knowledge? Could you be a consultant? Could you teach a course? Could you mentor younger professionals? And third, you have to build a personal brand. You need a reputation that's tied to you, not just to the company you work for or the license you hold. And all of this leads us to the final major takeaway. It's about a fundamental shift in how you think about yourself and your work. It's about moving from an identity based on a fragile credential to one that's built on your own rock-solid intrinsic value. So I'll just leave you with this one question to really chew on. Your license? Sure, it defines your job, but what defines your value? What's the core expertise, the unique perspective that is truly, deeply yours? Because once you know the answer to that, you found the one thing that will carry you through any storm, any change, any challenge that comes your way.